Hey everyone, Greta here. Today we are going to talk about during back bends whether or not we should squeeze our butt. Now this gotta be one of the most popular million-dollar questions. So what is it, squeeze or not squeeze? So a bit of my personal background information. A long time ago when I started my asana practice, I was a lot more aggressive and I did all those like really crazy back bending. And back then at the time, there wasn't as much information as we have now. And not so many people from different medical backgrounds or have such a thorough understanding of anatomy would share as much information as we have now. So back then, the resources were a lot more limited. And how I practiced was more based on instinctive, how my body thought was right. And turned out that my body was wrong. My body was practicing based on habits. And habits might not be the best for the body when the body has to do shapes that are not done on a habitual basis, if that makes sense. So I got injured. After the injury, or after I got healed, I started taking more workshops. And then at the time, all the workshops were going towards the direction of you shouldn't squeeze your butt, because squeeze your butt means you're gonna lock your lower back and everything in that lower back would be compressed. You feel a lot of pressure there. Therefore, you don't squeeze your butt at all. Okay, so for a time I didn't squeeze my butt, and at that time it felt good. But then I never stopped exploring about back bending. So now, because there are a lot more information, a lot more resources, a lot more material that I could have my hands on, I finally realized that, you know what, and it does make sense. Actually, I learned this in my 200-hour teacher training, but then it never really clicked until only recently, like a few years ago. You should squeeze, you should engage. But how? That's the question. Okay, so what I'm about to say is coming from me and my personal experience, and also my experience practicing with physios, like teachers that have a physiotherapy background, mobility coaches, and all those individuals. Okay, that doesn't mean it's the golden rule. I'm just sharing with you what works for me. You see, muscles work in pairs, right? So if one part of the body is elongating, like lengthening, the opposite part of it should contract to keep it stable, keep it safe, to support it. I.e., when we're doing a forward fold, the back part of the legs are lengthening, right? You feel the hamstring stretching. And then to keep a forward fold safe, you actually want to engage your quads, a bit of your abs, just to keep the back of your thighs, hamstrings, and the lower back happy and safe. So it's the same when you're doing a back bend. So I'll demonstrate in a standing back bend because it's just more prominent that way. The front body, my belly stretching, right? My front hips, the hip flexors are stretching, and also the top of your thighs, the quadriceps are lengthening. So what we should do is the back, the hamstrings, we should contract to support the stretching or the elongation of the thighs, and also the butt to keep the hip extension. And because in anatomy, and that's just the golden rule, if you squeeze your butt, it helps to extend the hip. And what we mean by hip extension is this. And this, if you translate it into this, that's a standing back bend, right? But the question comes, squeezing of the butt, it sounds very simple, but then how to squeeze and what part of the butt to squeeze, that's the question. Because a lot of people, me included a long time ago, when we squeeze our butt, we're actually tensing the entire butt and also the lower back, because this is huge and this is an area of the body where we cannot see. Okay, so when we squeeze our butt, we're like, okay, squeeze. But little do we know that if we're not mindful of how we squeeze our butt or engage our glutes, if you want the anatomy terms, chances are we would just squeeze everything in the back body and actually tensing the lower back as well. So what we should engage is the lower glutes or the under butt and not the entire part of it. So you might be thinking, this is getting very complicated. I cannot see my butt already. How am I supposed to know that I'm squeezing my under butt and not my upper butt, right? Okay, so don't worry. We will do a shape, very simple shape that you will be able to tell. We'll come into a low lunge. Okay, so just make sure the back knee is protected. Yep, here we go. Okay, I need to shift forward a bit because I got really long legs. Joke. Okay, so just come into a low lunge, right? Sorry, need to readjust it. Okay. Doesn't matter how your hands are set up. Focus on the back leg. So this is a low lunge, nothing too crazy. Okay, and then you want to feel the front foot pressing firmly down to the floor. The back leg, you want to feel the hips, the front hip coming down. At the same time, imagine you want to straighten the leg. Like make it straight like a ruler, straight as a ruler, not make it long, but make it straight, okay? And if you actually feel comfortable, you can have the back of the foot pressing down to the floor and lift your knee, okay? And try to make the back leg straight. Once you feel the back leg is straight, again, it might not be physically straight, but it needs to feel straight, start to poke your butt. You would actually feel the under butt, like right here, feels a bit firm and engaged, but the top part of it stays relatively relaxed. So really need to fire up the back leg, and then you actually feel the difference in the muscles. Or you can try it in the high lunge. It's the same. So back toes pressing. Okay, again, try to make the leg straight. Okay, you would squeeze your butt. So again, poke. The under butt, you would actually feel quite a bit of contraction. Okay, but the top part of it is actually still quite soft. So make sure you do both sides. Okay, after you are confident that feeling is very familiar and easy to recreate, then recreate it in other back bending. Maybe something similar like a standing back bend where you have to do both legs. So again, feel. Okay, so that means that the front hips again need to move towards the front, right? In order for you to feel the foot pressing firmly into the floor, and then you can somehow feel your underbutt actually starting to work, but then the top part of it remains relaxed. And that way, you're not squeezing your lower back and tensing your lower back as well. And then you can take it to other shapes like the bridge pose, wheel pose, bow, locust, cobras, up dog, all those things. Back bending looks easy because you just bend backwards. But then there's a lot of science behind it. And also, especially because it involves the part of the body where we cannot see too easily. So that is why there's always a bit of connection that's lost. So when you do back bending, or at least when I do back bending, I have to take a lot more time to really shift my awareness. Hey, how's the back body doing? How's my lower back? How are my legs? Do I feel any, pressure or tension there? Am I working the right way? The right way meaning how my body likes it. So that's my sharing for today. Hope it helps, and I'll see you again soon. Take it easy.